All right, so part number 2, as I mentioned, I spend 200 grand on Google Ads for Ecom every single day, and I'm breaking down part 2 of the most common campaign types, which ones you should use, which ones you should test, and which ones you should avoid. Last time we finished with demand gen standard, and now we will pick it up at Pmax new customers. So Pmax new customers is a really interesting campaign type. It's a standard Pmax, but within the settings, you basically tell it to only target new customers. Sounds fantastic at first glance, but I would give it a B tier. It's a really good campaign if your main KPI is NC ROAS or NC CPA, but it does have some drawbacks. My main issue is that the way you define new customers is really finicky. You do it through customer link sync, through a Shopify sync, and that's not always reliable. So you will target like 70-80% new customers, which is good, but usually the cases where you focus on NC ROAS or NC CPA, that's the cases where people are really precise about their numbers, right? There's a very specific value that you need to reach. And given that it's not 100%, it kind of defies that. So it makes it then difficult because you're basing decisions based on certain values that you can't 100% trust. So it has its drawbacks, in my opinion, but I would always use it if, again, your main KPI is NC ROAS or NC CPA. That's Pmax new customers. Next up, we have standard YouTube, something I get asked about a lot. I would also place standard YouTube in a B tier, largely because it's an expert subject and it's suitable for certain brands. If you're one of those brands, it's an A or an S tier, but for everyone, like if you're talking, the bigger picture, just all ecom brands, I'd give it a B tier. I love YouTube for VSLs, and I love the frequency feature. So any product that relies on a VSL that's longer than 3 minutes, YouTube is tremendous, right? And for long customer journeys as well. But, there's a lot of brands that don't work like that, and they don't have super long VSLs. And for them, it's a B or a C tier. They're better off using demand gen. If you're using direct response creatives, mini VSLs, UGC, demand gen is your best friend. This is really if you're focused more on the longer VSLs. So more of a niche case and also requires expert knowledge. Next up, we have display prospecting. This again is a straight D tier for me. Same thing like with display remarketing. It's just a legacy campaign type in my opinion. I only like the pay-per conversion feature. Other than that, you're better off just doing native, in all honesty. It's just a shitter version of native or statics on Meta, in my opinion. So straight D tier. Branded search is an A tier campaign for me. I know people don't want to spend on brand, but the equation is very simple. If you don't do it, your competitors will bid on your name with their brand competitor campaigns or with advertorials, and you will just lose money. So it's not fancy, it's not sophisticated, but it has to be done. And impact is big. DSA is the next campaign type. I would give it a C tier. I like DSA because it's fast. Like it's fast to set up and has a big coverage, right? It's like an automated campaign type. It's also very legacy. I like using DSA, or I recommend DSA for people that have lots of SKUs or lots of landing pages and they don't want to spend a lot of time. That's when DSA is great. And also there's one specific use case for DSA which very few people do, and that is you have a very long advertorial that's called a caveman page. It's like 8 to 10 pages, super long, and you just describe all the different use cases of your product and what makes it great. And their DSA is really good because it's got so much content it can scan. So that's a niche use case. If you're using that, it's an A tier, but for most cases I would give it a C tier. Next up, we have Pmax full assets. I would give it a or B tier. Maybe, yeah, it's difficult. I'll stick with B, but it can be an A. Full asset basically means you use every function of the Pmax: shopping, search, display, YouTube, everything. It can work well, but The one thing I don't like about it is the maintenance. It's again like its own micro universe within your account that where you got to take care of ads, ad copies, creative, shopping listings, search terms, and it's again one of those things where people tend to make mistakes, right? If you separate it, it's easier. You know, your feed only, Pmax, you only taking care of, shopping related stuff. Your asset only, you only take care of the asset side of things. This is again everything. It can be good, especially for really big accounts. Out of really big accounts or accounts that are more really big on Meta, not so big on Google. But again, just high maintenance and prone for mistakes, in my opinion. Next up, we have demand gen advertorials. I would give this also a B tier. It's a tool that I would usually use if I've maxed out the standard demand gen and the advertorial on search. Standard direct response creators straight to sales page or PDP will generally do better on demand gen, but I like sometimes using this, especially if I have an account that's really heavy on the problem aware advertorials, the long form advertorials, and they crush. They crush and I've run out of volume. Then I like using demand gen. Like, to give you that example again of the creatine, say you're selling creatine and you have an advertorial that's crushing fat loss queries or muscle gain queries, and you're murdering it like 5 ROAS, 100 orders a day, whatever. It's absolutely crushing, but you run out of volume. When you have that strong of a proof of concept for your advertorial and for your problem aware users, then I'd go with demand gen advertorial. But how many people have this, right? Not everyone does, not everyone gets this. So in those cases, it'd be an S or an A tier, but for most cases, overall, I'd give it a B. Standard shopping, I would put that in a C tier. I like using standard shopping as a backup if I know there's an event coming that could destabilize things. So if I anticipate Google will increase CPCs or Black Friday, I want to be sure that I'm covered. That's when I use standard shopping as a backup. There is some edge cases where you can exert more control. So if you're selling parts or something like this, you've got like 5,000 SKUs, it can be good. But generally speaking, the times of super nerdy, deep optimizations are done. More control is not always good. I would, if I have to choose between, I've got 10 hours and I will spend 10 hours nerding off in a standard shopping campaign and going super deep and exerting mad control, or I invest 10 hours and I think about the strategy. What needs to happen in this account to grow another 20-30%? What are the assets? What are the creators, the OPs that I need to? What's a paradigm shift that needs to happen? I'd rather invest that time in strategy. That will bring more ROI. The former will bring you 50% more ROAS. Wow. Okay. You're better off scaling with strategy. So it's just not the way that Google Ads work nowadays. So that's why I'll give it a C. Last up, Pmax advertorials. So here we're talking a Pmax campaign that drives traffic to advertorials. I'd give it a B tier. It's really good to generate new keywords, same as the asset only Pmax, and it will convert certain keywords that may not work on search. I like it for that. Again, I think the reason why it does that is because the Pmax gets more signals. So that's why I can decide better on some edge keywords. And sometimes, even the discovery aspect or the display aspect can work it, even if it doesn't work in other campaigns. So it's not my main scaling tool, but it's something I would add once I've maxed out these things. Then I'd go into Pmax advertorial. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's a full list. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you agree, where you disagree. Did I mess up in ranking, whatever? What's your opinion? I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment. And if you run a brand and you want me to take a look at it, if you've got the feeling that you can get more out of it,